for millions of American people. 9 years ago, when I started this job, I promised to read every letter a patient sent me. And back then, there was hope for new treatments, but a lot of complaints about insulin pricing. So while we did a number of things ourselves, it wasn't actually until I spoke to the president, this is in your first term, and you ordered the HHS team to work with us to really solve that problem. We prioritized it. We launched a copy of our own medicine at 90% off, and then we capped the price of insulin for Medicare patients at $35.
And Biden tried to take credit for that.
Yep. It was in your first term.
It was crazy.
Yep.
We did it,
Yep.
and then it came through during the early part of his term, and he tried to take credit. So we did the best we could to let him know that didn't happen. He got a little lucky, but I always said, frankly, I said, this is not good, because statutorily it had to wait a little while, and it came out at $35 instead of some crazy amount, right, David? And they stood up and they said what a great job they did. No, that was done by Trump and Lilly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we solved a major problem together. It's now law. Today when I get mail, it's quite frequently from patients who are just having amazing success on our weight loss medications, but they too are finding it out of reach, particularly America's seniors in Medicare. So this spring, in this very office, I met with the President and Secretary Kennedy, Administrator Oz, and others to figure out how to tackle this problem. And of course, unlocking obesity treatment is critical to chronic disease management. So is diet and exercise. But we wanted to open up that access for millions of Medicare beneficiaries and Medicaid as well. And again, the President saw this opportunity, and we left the room and he asked us to solve it. So 7 months later, we're here. Medicare coverage with a $50 cost to patients per month. That's down from Medicare patients today, if they want access to our medicine, pay $500 a month out of pocket. Drug coverage is critical to health improvement. And we're not just treating the weight here, that's important. We're changing the course of chronic disease. Our medicine cut progression from pre-diabetes to type 2 diabetes by 94% after 3 years in major studies. And many studies have shown the benefits that Dr. Oz spoke about with cardiovascular risk reduction. This agreement also accelerates approval of a new treatment that are easier to take and highly effective, like our once-daily oral pill or Forglipron. And we have other treatments in development, and those will be included, along with other manufacturers' latest treatments when they become available. So as drug coverage expands, so does choice, and data shows that medicines work differently for different people. Some are better for some, weight loss and weight maintenance, and we really believe that doctors and patients should choose the best option. So it's important that this deal includes both of the leading innovators and manufacturers of this transformational new class of medicines. Medicare coverage is a milestone, but it's probably only the beginning. We call on states, on employers, on commercial insurers, even PBMs, to join and expand coverage at affordable prices for all Americans. And Lilly stands ready to partner across the healthcare system to make that happen. Just as we've achieved this partnership with Chris and Inma and John, who helped us from CMS to make this day possible. And we're anxious to get started with this. As early as April 1, this coverage can begin for our medicines and Novo's medicines. And I just want to say it's hard to overstate the impact of this day. It's really a turning point in the fight against chronic disease and a landmark achievement for President Trump and Secretary Kennedy, as well as, of course, our company. But most importantly, it empowers people to take control of their own health, to eat well, to exercise, of course, avoid harmful substances, and where appropriate, in consultation with your doctor, access affordable now obesity medications that are really a breakthrough. And we believe that when America is healthy, America is strong. And at Lilly, our goal is the same here, to invest in science, invest in our country, deliver breakthrough medicines, and reduce and then prevent chronic disease, all to make our country strong for generations to come. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. And I'll introduce Mike, my colleague.
Thank you so much.
And before we, is Tom Emmer, we have one of our great leaders here. Is he in the room?
Behind you.
Where is he? Oh, hello, Tom. I was going to invite you up. How about Mrs. Emmer joining us, okay? The real boss.
Come on
the
up.
real boss.
Mrs. Emmer.
Come on up. Come on up. She's the real boss, right?
Yes, she is.
Okay, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President, Secretary Kennedy, Administrator Oz, FDA Commissioner, Dr. McCurry, and the whole team. I'd like to especially thank Chris Klump and Imna Hernandez for your hard work. I also like to thank my own team, Dave Moore and Karsten Knudsen, for their tenacity in getting us here today. It's an honor also to be with you, Dave. Dave and I compete on a daily basis, quite hard, I would say. But because of you and because of this process and the administration, we are standing here hand in hand as friends to have a common cause. And the cause is to really provide access to many millions of patients that yesterday did not have it. So I'm very happy to be here on this today, on today's pivotal moment. At Novo Nordisk, we believe that access to life-changing medicine should not be a privilege. It is a societal promise, and that promise today is becoming one step closer to a hope, to a reality, and we are very, very happy about it in our company. We are here because semaglutide is a unique molecule. Ozempic and Wegovy are unique medicines. I cannot remember any other time during at least my lifetime that another medicine has gotten as much attention and as much honor in the world scientific circle and has become a household name. It is very, very important that we're making this deal today. We're able to stand here with you, President, and your team to ensure broad, affordable access for all American patients, and that is truly exciting. It means not only providing hope, but also providing unique medicines to help Americans live healthier lives and longer lives. Novo Nordisk is proud to be an American success story. As a leader, in manufacturing, research, and creating a lot of jobs. Currently, we have already invested $24 billion over the last 10 years here, and these investments have created more than 10,000 jobs. And they have generated $21 billion of GDP just in 2024 alone. And today, as I'm standing here talking, cranes are up, as you would like to say, in North Carolina, because we're just expanding our North Carolina manufacturing site once again with $4 billion additional US. In some strange way, you could say, even though we have a Danish heritage, we have been more American and been here for a long time and proud American than many other companies that were born here. And we are very proud of that. In fact, we are proud to say that our approval of Wegovy pill will be the only GLP-1 that will be manufactured end-to-end here in America by Americans and for Americans. This agreement reflects a shared belief that the administration has provided a safe and effective, innovative medicines accessible to many patients. And because we know different patients have different needs, we are very excited to have our semaglutide 7.2 milligram, the higher dose, now, as we call it, Wegovy Plus, available as part of the receiving priority voucher. We stand here to ensure that all Americans who need Ozempic or Wegovy can access the affordable medication, so they don't need to go and get an unapproved compounded knockoffs version of it. Once again, I'd like to extend my deepest gratitude to you, Mr. President, and to the whole administration for making America great again and allowing affordable access to many millions of patients living with diabetes and obesity. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anybody else? Just say a couple of words, Marty, please.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. This is an amazing day because people talk about different ways to finance the broken healthcare system. This is fixing the broken healthcare system by dealing with two root causes: the price of goods and services, something hardly anyone talks about, and the health of the population. So today the FDA is announcing, as part of its new national priority voucher program, that both Lilly and Novo Nordisk will be receiving a voucher for a priority review because they're doing something in this administration's national priority interest, lowering the price of drugs to make them affordable in line with the president's mission, and domestic manufacturing, and addressing a public health need. These are 2 of 6 products that we are announcing today. Treatments for cancer that are unbelievable. They are incredibly promising. A rectal cancer treatment that has melted away tumors with no need for surgery or chemo or radiation. We're interested in therapies that reduce downstream healthcare utilization. They'll be getting a voucher for a review by the FDA in weeks instead of a year. So we're serious. We're doing everything we can to incentivize this. So I think this is not appreciated enough, because the fastest area of healthcare spending growth is drug price spending growth. And so we're seeing a lowering healthcare drug prices as a vehicle to make insurance more affordable, private insurance, Medicaid more affordable, Medicare more affordable, and healthcare in general more affordable. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Marty, very much. Any questions?
Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. You said you were able to get this deal done and so many others because of tariffs. Yesterday at the Supreme Court, the case being heard, the justices expressed some skepticism. What is your plan if they end up making a decision that's not in your favor?
Well, I'd rather discuss that later. I hope we're going to win that case. I think it's one of the most important cases in the history of our country. So much evolves around tariffs as a defensive mechanism for our country, as national security for our country. So I don't want to really discuss a ground truth. This is so important. If you look at China, and I covered this yesterday, but if you look at China, by putting a large 100% tariff over and above the tariffs they already paid, they came to the table, they talked, we made a wonderful deal for everybody. Our farmers, as you know, with the soybeans at levels that nobody's ever seen before, we were able to make phenomenal deals. If we didn't have the tariffs, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So we thought we did very well yesterday. We hope that we did. I think it would be devastating for our country, but I also think that we'll have to develop a Game 2 plan. We'll see what happens. Most people tell me we did very well legally.
Mr. President, related to that, are you moving forward with any new tariff announcements before a decision from the Supreme Court?
This is the best one, and we can do other things, but they're slow by comparison. You know, like as an example, with the 100%, I was able to do it instantaneously when we were threatened by the rare earths, as you know, the magnets. And I did it instantaneously. It was a matter of seconds. And it was a matter of seconds that I got a phone call, let's work this out. We would have had not nearly the defense that we had. It would be a shame. It would be somewhat catastrophic for our country, I have to be honest with you. I don't want to get too much involved, but what we've done, you know, we're taking in hundreds of trillions of dollars. If you take a look at the numbers we're at $17 trillion right now. We're going to be at $21 trillion, about $21 trillion by the time I've finished my first year. Biden, as an example, the Biden administration was at less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We're going to be at $21 trillion for 1 year. In the history of the world, there's never been a country that's done that. Not China, not the U.S., not anybody. And a lot of that is because of the tariffs and the fact that the president is a competent president that knows how to use them. And I use them for national defense. I ended, of the 8 wars I ended, I would say 5 or 6 were ended because of tariffs. I give you an example. If you take a look at India and Pakistan, they started to fight. They're 2 nuclear nations. They were shooting each other. 8 planes were shot down. There was 7, now it was 8, because the one that was sort of shot down is now abandoned. And 8 planes were shot down. And I said, listen, if you guys are going to fight, I'm going to put tariffs on you. And they both went, you know, they were not happy about that. And within 24 hours, I settled the war. If I didn't have tariffs, I wouldn't have been able to settle that war. So it's great national defense, and you have to be quick moving. You can't wait around for months and months while you're doing studies and you're doing all of this, or go back to Congress. Look at Congress. We can't even get a continuation from Congress. Think of that. How would I have to go back to Congress to You have to do this spur of the moment. Because just so you understand, we're hit spur of the moment. You know, other countries have used tariffs to absolutely, they would have destroyed us. If I didn't come along, our country would be destroyed right now. The tariffs have made us rich in terms of national security. They've made us secure. And you know, if you have economic strength, that's also, if you have a lack of economic strength, that's national security also. But we have great national security because of those tariffs. So I think it would be devastating if we lost that ruling.
But before the Supreme Court issues a ruling, it could be several weeks. Are you going to lay out any new additional tariffs before that?
I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to hope that we win. I can't imagine that anybody would do that kind of devastation to our country. You know, we'd have to pay back trillions of dollars. We've taken in trillions. We haven't taken in billions. We've taken in trillions of dollars. We've made trade deals based on that give us, as an example, European Union, $950 billion. Japan, $650 billion. South Korea, $350 billion. Without this, we're not talking about that kind of money. And they're okay, they're satisfied, they love us. I just left. They all love us. So it's not like we're such bad people. But they were doing it to us until I came along. Now they don't do it to us, we do it to them a little bit. But if they took this away, we would be defenseless against tariffs from other countries.
Mr. President, there's no on employer plans and individual plans who also don't have access to GLP-1s. What can you do to make those insurers and PBMs get these same prices so they can put access for those
I'll
folks?
ask Oz or Bobby that question. It's a good question.
Absolutely. Many Americans receive their insurance through the commercial markets. The companies have committed to ensure that at worst, prices are at MFN on GLP-1s and are committed to continue to negotiate those prices down based on volume, just as they do in any other instance. Another really interesting thing we're seeing, though, is that commercial plans and PBMs increasingly are enabling access for their beneficiaries, their patients, to make purchases in the cash market and then still receive coverage out of their accumulators and their deductibles. And so we're building that capacity, and absolutely, Trump RX is being built to enable just that behavior and drive transparency in the process.
Mr. President, there are so many Americans that report tremendously positive results from these drugs. What real-world impact do you think this will be? Is there an estimate on how many Americans may now take these drugs? And also about the informed consent on side effects. There are lawsuits against these companies that some people experienced damage to their gut health, vision loss, and other potentially serious side effects there. So how will we ensure Americans are able to make the best choice of the risk versus the rewards?
Well, I'll let them speak about the side effects, but I've heard about very little side effects with respect to these drugs. I mean, it's all positive, and that's usually not the case. I mean, usually you hear bad things. You see these crazy commercials on television where they tell you 15 different things that can go wrong, and then you're supposed to buy it. Very few, but I'll let you handle that.
At a high level, 1 in 3 people who can hear my voice are eligible for these medications. That's the magnitude of impact. And we believe, just to reemphasize, we will actually save the American taxpayer money if people use these drugs appropriately for the duration for which they're indicated. There are always going to be side effects of anything strong enough to help you, strong enough to hurt you. The question is the trade-off worth it? We know the ravaging risks of obesity and all downstream issues ranging from diabetes and hypertension to renal failure, dementia, heart disease, my specialty. But I'll ask Dave Ricks from Lilly to maybe start off because he can give an honest appraisal of potential risks people should be aware of. There's no free cheese.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I mean, today, as you may know, there's about 8 million people benefiting from the 2 companies' medications. This new announcement will make that tens of millions that could benefit from it. So it's a huge improvement. But as the previous question, we need commercial plans and other insurers to step into this arrangement. I think probably both companies will work hard to make sure that happens. Yeah, as Dr. Oz said, no drug that can help you has no side effects. Most of them are well known. We've been using this class of medications for nearly 20 years. And that's why it's important that patients go to their doctor and decide together whether this is right for them, and their doctor knows their medical history and has the information about these medications. But we're confident in the safety, but there's always some precautions we should have, and people's own medical histories matter in that decision.
And are there any estimates for? Yes.
What I would like to say is also that, of course, in my speech I made a comment that what happened today allows us and Lilly to provide medications to millions and millions more than they are getting it today. Today, a lot of those patients are trying to go out there and take the knockoff versions of these medications, mainly because they were cheaper than our medication. With the reduction of the price, hopefully many of these patients don't need to choose their safety over their wallet and now are able to find the real thing at a very decent price.
Is that a big problem for you, knockoffs? Sounds like it might be.
It has been, yes. It has been. But on the other hand, of course, patients have to be able to afford it. So it has been also our job to make sure that affordability.
Are the knockoffs dangerous?
The knockoffs are not FDA, the API, the raw ingredient that goes into them, are not FDA approved. So nothing is as good as the original.
Yeah, I know that.
Mr. President, yesterday in the Supreme Court, Chief Justice Roberts said that tariffs are taxes and that they're paid by Americans. He said this pretty clearly. And yet you're saying that this money is rolling in from other countries. How do you square those two?
Well, it is. It's coming in because they've charged us. You know, those same countries that you talk about are charging us massive amounts of money. If you look at the tariffs over the years that were put on our heads, there's a reason we're $38 trillion owed. Now that money's going to start coming down. But we had presidents that didn't know how to use tariffs. We had presidents that had no understanding of business. But if you take a look at what's happened to us, every country charges tariffs. China, the European Union was brutal. They charged us tariffs, not only tariffs, they charged us tariffs so we couldn't sell cars there. We couldn't sell our product. They didn't want our agriculture. They didn't want our cars. Now they're taking our cars, and now they're taking our agriculture. You know, far more than money. It really is a defensive mechanism. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be unable to defend ourselves.
So then do you agree then that Americans are paying those tariffs?
I think, no, I don't agree. I think that they might be paying something, but when you take the overall impact, the Americans are gaining tremendously. They're gaining through national security. Look, I'm ending war because of these tariffs. Americans would have to fight in some of these wars. They're gaining in national security. They're gaining in economics. They're gaining in so many different ways. And they're gaining in self-respect for our own country. Other countries used to laugh at us. They would charge us tariffs. Japan was charging us massive tariffs, and yet they wouldn't allow our cars to be sold in Japan. But they were selling 9 million cars here, but they wouldn't allow one car. Not one car was sold in Japan. They don't laugh at us anymore. This is really a matter of, this is national security. And by the way, going bankrupt is national security. You know, our country was really in trouble. Going bankrupt, and the difference between going bankrupt and thriving, that's also national security. When you go bankrupt, when you don't have any money, you have no national security. And we are thriving. I mean, all this money coming into our country that I told you about, the 17 trillion as of now, but it's going up rapidly. I was in Japan, and we have Toyota is coming in with $10 billion to build plants, operated by Americans, but building plants all over the United States. Well, they left. They took our plants. They sold cars in here without tariffs. They sold cars. We didn't charge them anything. They destroyed our auto industry. We lost 50%, 54% of our auto industry to other. We used to, if you go back into the 30s and 40s, we had 100% of the automobile business. Then it started getting chopped away. But Mexico, Canada, many countries, I mean, Canada fought us very hard. The ones that don't want us to win are foreign countries that we are able now to do very well with. Those are the ones that fight it. Those are maybe people that hate our country. I think it's the most important case maybe in the history of our country.
This has been a major achievement for your administration, targeting the segment of our population that needs it the most, that has the highest obesity rates. You're making it affordable. You are truly saving lives. That's coming from the viewers that we've had in that 1 hour that we took a little bit of a break. My question to you is, Walmart just pushed out a report that says this year's traditional Thanksgiving meal will cost 25% less than it did under the Biden administration, plus gas prices being down in the $2 region makes it more affordable to travel to grandma's house this Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much. And I it's not so much a question, it's a statement. And I would have made the statement, but we have a lot of things happening, so I wouldn't necessarily have made it right now. So Walmart, to me, you know, that's AAA, came out that nobody going to influence them. I don't know them. But they just came out with a very powerful statement. They've done it for many years, that under the Biden administration, Thanksgiving meal, a Thanksgiving meal with all the trimmings cost 25% more. In other words, our Thanksgiving this year coming up will cost 25% less than sleepy Joe Biden's. Now, to me, that's better than anything there is. That's better than a poll. They've got everything included, from the trimmings and from the turkey and from everything, a lot of different items. It's 25% less this year than it was last year when he was so-called in charge. He wasn't in charge. The people around the desk were in charge. The Autopen was in charge. That is a big factor. And I was angry last night with the Republicans. They say, you don't talk about this stuff. Nobody talks about it. You know, I rely on a question from a reporter to get that out. We should be talking about it because they talk about affordability. They don't have affordability. We had the highest inflation in the history of our country under Biden. We had high gasoline prices at $4.50, $5 a gallon. They're going to be hitting $2 a gallon with me. They're getting close to $2 a gallon. And when gasoline goes down and energy goes down, everything else follows. What the Democrats do is they lie. We are the ones that have done great on affordability. They've done horribly on affordability. The only thing is they go out and they take commercials how under the Democrats you have affordability. It's just the opposite. We have much lower prices than they do. And we only have one thing, beef, because the cattle ranches are doing well. We're going to bring the beef prices down, and they understand that, even if we have to help them out. But the beef also is not a big difference, but every price is down. The biggest price is energy. We're at almost $2 for gasoline, and you take a look at where they were at $4.50, $5 for gasoline. And when gasoline and energy comes down, everything else follows. And I was so happy. Last night I made a speech, and then I get off the stage. I said, I feel like going up and saying it, because I have a lot of respect for Walmart. And nobody's influencing Walmart. They came out and they said, Trump's Thanksgiving dinner, same things, is 25% less than Biden's. And we are the affordability one. We are the ones that have done a great job at affordability, not the Democrats. And yet, we just lost a couple of elections that were very Democrat areas. Maybe won't be full. They weren't very Democrat when I ran a year ago because I did well in those areas. But we just lost an election, they said, based on affordability. It's a con job by the Democrats. The Democrats are only good at con and cheating on elections. Thank you for the question.
Novo Nordisk is in the middle. Question about India.
Say it.
How is the talks with Prime Minister Modi
Great.
going on
He's
a
great.
trade deal? And when do
Going good. He stopped buying oil from Russia.
When do you plan?
And he's a friend of mine, and we speak, and he wants me to go there, and we'll figure that out. I'll go. I had a great trip there with Prime Minister Modi. He's a great man. And I'll be going. Yeah.
Novo Nordisk is in the middle of a
You're planning to go to India next
Go
year?
ahead, please.
You're planning to go to India next year, sir?
It could be, yeah.
Novo Nordisk is in the middle of a potential $10 billion acquisition for a smaller obesity biotech. They might need your and the FTC's help to see that through. Do you have any issues with that, or Eli Lilly buying a smaller obesity biotech from an anti-competitive
Well, I don't know. Do you want to talk about that? I mean, I'd like to hear it. Maybe you should give us a piece of the company, like I've been asking for.
So
Give the United States a nice big chunk of the company.
So Novo Nordisk and Pfizer right now are in the middle of an acquisition dialogue and discussion.
It's you and Pfizer?
It's us and Pfizer.
Competing for the company?
Competing for the company.
Who's winning?
And as of today, our bid is higher. And our message to Pfizer is that if they would like to buy the company, then put your hand in the pocket and bid higher. It's a free market, and at the end of it, it has to do with basically the price that the seller is selling for their shareholders and the buyers willing to pay for it. This has nothing to do with FTC, has nothing to do with anything else.
Do you think it's
Is that a similar product to what we're talking about today?
It's a product, it's a series of products that will come to the market in around turn of the decade. where the market is very crowded with many, many other players as well.
Right.
So it's the next generations of products, and
Well,
it
we'll
will
have to
come
look at
5.
it.
Yeah.
Mr. President,
Zoran Mandami, you said that, you called him a communist. You said that if he won, you would take drastic action against New York City. What kind of actions are you looking at, and will the ICE deportations continue?
Well, I think you have to look. If he is a communist, there's not going to be a lot of activity. So you wouldn't need bridges and tunnels and all the different things that were being planned for New York, I think. And look, I hope New York does well. That's all I can say. I love New York. I grew up in New York. I did well in New York, always did well. And I hope New York does well. That's all.
And the ICE raids, will they continue?
ICE raids? Well, you want to get criminals out. If they're criminals, we want to get them out. Ideally, we wouldn't have to do them because he'll send the criminals out himself. But that seems to be unlikely. No, we have to get criminals out. Millions of people were let into our country from prisons and from mental institutions and drug dealers, a lot of drug dealers and murderers, 11,888 murderers. 50% of them committed more than one murder. And we want to get them out. So whether they're in New York or anywhere else, we want to get them out. We've created a great place in Washington. All of you see the difference between what it was now and what it was a year ago under Biden. It was a death trap, and now it's people walk down the street, they have dinner, the restaurants are booming. Washington, D.C. is great. I will tell you, Memphis is doing really well too. You're hearing those reports. It's companies were going to move out, they're not going to move out anymore. We've done a great job, and we've only been there for 4 weeks. So we've done a great job with that. But they have killers in New York, we want to get them out. If they have murderers, if they have people from jails that they allowed out of their jails in order to save a lot of money, we want them out of here. We want to put them back in their jails, not our jails.
Mr. President, quick question in regards to TSA. Would you ever consider privatizing TSA? That question comes to us from our viewers all the time, and I told them I would ask you.
I think of privatizing a lot of things, but generally speaking, you have government, and a lot of people don't like privatizing, but some things that they really do, they work out better privatized. But it is government, and sometimes government can be better. It's something a lot of people talk about.
I've heard the government, as far as air traffic controllers, is 2 thumbs up on that. I've heard from dozens of pilots who have flown the last 90 days, particularly under all the stress of the government shutdown.
Right.
They tell me, Brian, that is the one thing the government does right is air traffic controls.
Well, we're going to do it a lot better too, because we're going to buy a new system. It's under bid right now. Bid about 4 different companies, all top of the line, like these 2 great companies, except in a slightly different field. And the air traffic control equipment is 45 years old. Buttigieg spent billions of dollars trying to fix it and didn't even use the right wire. You're hooking up glass into copper, and you can't do that. If they went to a reasonably good school, they'd find out you can't hook glass into copper. And they spent billions of dollars, and it was actually made the system much worse. We're going to get rid of the entire system, put a brand new system in. It'll be expensive, but we'll have the best air control system, meaning the control towers. They'll be stripped down to the bone, and brand new equipment is being installed. And we'll give out that. It's a big contract. We'll give out that contract over the next 6 weeks.
On drug pricing, sir, that the FAA is going to have to cut about 10% of flights at the top 40 airports because of the government shutdown. Are you at all concerned that it might not be safe to fly right now? And what do you tell people who are gearing up for
that's
Thanksgiving?
why they're cutting. Yeah, it's a fair question. Sean Duffy announced they're cutting in certain areas 10%, and they want to make sure it's 100% safe. That's why they're doing it.
Mr. President, given these modifications that are being made to air travel, the other disruptions with the government shutdown, do you think it's time for Republicans in Congress to change their negotiating position at all?
In what way?
To start making concessions to Democrats?
Well, I think it's time for them to end the filibuster and just put everybody back to work. Vote in voter ID, vote in no mail-in voting except for military, faraway military, and people that are very sick. I'd like to see 1-day voting. I'd like to see not 65 days of voting from all over the place. No, I'd like to clean up the elections. The border, we've done a great job. We have a great, strong border now. But I'd like to see new rules on immigration that can be fair and good, you know. But rules that you'll never get, rules that they're never going to get. There's so many things we could put in, including tax cuts that we could get, and we could do it all ourselves. But to do that, you have to end the filibuster. The filibuster is, and they'll do it too. They'll immediately do it. You know, what they're going to do is, what the Democrats will do is they're going to make Puerto Rico a state. They're going to make D.C. a state. They're going to pack the court. They're going to end up with more electoral votes. They're going to end up with 4 senators because of the 2 states. And they're going to do this 100%. They would have done it, except Manchin and Sinema got in their way. They would have done it. So if they're going to do it, I would do it. I would do it before them.
And you think
that
the longer
Israel,
the
it's
longer
a little like Israel. Israel attacked first. That attack was very, very powerful. I was very much in charge of that. When Israel attacked Iran first, that was a great day for Israel, because that attack did more damage than the rest of them put together. What I'd like to see is, I'd like to see voter ID. Who wouldn't approve voter ID? The Democrats. Why wouldn't they approve it? Because they cheat. There's only one reason not. We don't have voter identification, and we should have it. If we got rid of the filibuster, in one day you'd have voter identification. The only reason they don't want it is because they cheat.
Mr. President, there are some people on Republicans who would also like to see the ACA tax credits extended for middle-class folks who are buying insurance on their own.
Right.
Where do you weigh in on that?
Well, I don't weigh in it, but we're looking at all of that right now. We're looking at all of it. There are a lot of great ideas out there, including for health care, because Obamacare is a disaster. The Obamacare premium is going to go up 17 or 18%, and that's not my fault. I didn't want Obamacare. That's the fault of the people that put it in, the Democrats. And now they want it subsidized further. But you know, where you take it from them, you take it from a lot of other people. We could have much better health care at a much lower price.
Mr. President, will you be doing another one of these drug pricing announcements with another company, or is this the last we're going to see for a little while? About drug pricing, you know, deals that
no,
you're
everybody's involved, and we're going to get low pricing from. All companies are being involved. We are now going to have, with all drugs, the lowest price anywhere in the world. That's the price we're going to have.
And will you have
That's called favored nations. We were stupid nations before. We paid 10 times more, sometimes 15 times more, than they were paying in Europe and other places. So that was really stupid.
In 2 years, these will go down. The injectable prices will go down to $250, I believe. But American patients might still look at European prices and say these aren't quite low enough to match that. What would you say in response to people?
Well, then we're going to match it, because as far as I'm concerned, we're at favored nations. If Europe is paying less, then now there could be other reasons. There could be a distribution, et cetera, et cetera. It's harder to get to, but outside of pretty minor things, this is favored nations. We are going to be paying the lowest price in the world, outside of some nations that are stone cold bankrupt, have no money, and people make contributions of medicines to those nations, including us. We're going to have the lowest prices anywhere in the world, and your drug prices will go down 600, 700, 800%, and I'll be given no credit for it, because I never get credit for anything, but nobody else could have done this. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, President. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Any statement on Dick Cheney or Nancy Pelosi's retirement?
Thank you, press.
About Nancy Pelosi?
Nancy Pelosi's retirement.
I think she's an evil woman. I'm glad she's retiring. I think she did the country a great service by retiring. I think she was a tremendous liability for the country.
And on Dick Cheney?
I thought she was an evil woman who did a poor job, who cost the country a lot in damages and in reputation. I thought she was terrible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you.